I love colour. Colour is all important to me. It's an emotional thing.
Susan Wall lives and works at her home in the tiny Norfolk village of North Elmham.
I come from quite a bohemian background. I've had great uncles who were scenery painters, and my father was a very keen artist. My sister is a textile designer, and my mum has done some pottery and tapestry work in her time, so we're all in the business of making art, if you like. The one thing that brings back the memory of my father better than anything else is the smell of turpentine. My father lived, ate and breathed painting. It was the light of his life. He always smelt of turps, and you know, when you're young you have a very well-developed sense of smell, and it always lingered about him. He would come in and he would be there and he would smell of the wind and turpentine as he came in the door, and it was wonderful.
Now, your home here is full of your father's paintings and drawings that he did of you and your family.
I can tell you that I didn't enjoy sitting very much. It was pestilential when you're young to have to sit down and be good, but I did, and I have some portraits of myself and of my brother and sister, and of course of my mother, that we greatly treasure. I loved my father so much. I never ceased to miss him, and he died shortly before he found out that I had actually got into St Martin's in London, big art school that I wasn't sure at all that I'd get into. It gave me quite an insight into painting, especially into modern art and modern sculpture, because a lot of the well-known modern sculptors have done their training from St Martin's. And also we had a wonderful fashion department. We had marvellous fashion shows up and down the stairs, and all the Rolls Royces parked outside in Charing Cross Road with all the knobs come to view the latest. You didn't realise that you were learning at the time, but you learn as much from other students as you learnt from the staff. And we had happenings and pigeons all over the place made of plaster, and it was really quite extraordinary in lots of ways.
What artists are important to you?
When I was at art school, there was a lovely show on, and I met for the first time in the flesh Matisse's Red Room. I mean, I was knocked over by it then. Some years later, I woke up one morning and I suddenly thought, if I don't see that painting again, I'm going to die. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was absolutely obsessed with it. Every sort of waking moment it was in my head, like a tune that runs through your mind all the time. I often refer to the paintings of the people I most love and I most admire, people like Gauguin, his South Sea Island paintings, or Vincent van Gogh's fabulous sunflowers, of which I have to say he did very many versions, or the landscapes and still lives of Paul Cézanne, paintings that give me a real lift. I love colour, so colour is very, very important to me. I've never been a great draftsman. I enjoy drawing, but I can't bear to hang on drawing until I've got some colour. When I paint, I use colour to draw with before I set about painting properly. I paint generally wet on wet, so I work like a sort of minor maniac to produce what I want. I love the sort of sculptural effect that thick paint makes. I had an idea that I should like to paint a wedding cake, and it occurred to me the only way to really paint a wedding cake that looked as though it might be worth eating was to employ an icing nozzle. So I filled an icing bag with titanium white and I iced my wedding cake. I will employ any technique that I think is suitable.
So if inspiration came to you in the middle of the night, would you have to get up immediately and start painting?
It just depends on the circumstance. If I have an early morning, then I don't generally start painting, because quite often I have to have a bath afterwards, and there's not always the hot water available at 3 o'clock in the morning. This painting was done as a result of a life change, a female life change. It in fact is called The Change, and it's to do with the fact that I had begun to have my menopause, and it came as a shock, and it came with some sadness. I've never wanted children, but I mean, it's the end of fertility, it's the end of youth, and it was a sadness for me. So I decided that really, as part of therapy, I would paint it out. I should paint. As far as I know, there are very few paintings involved with this specific subject, probably because it's particularly a female subject, and it's not a subject many women artists have painted. I set about putting in the female figure.
Is that yourself?
Could be myself. It's just any female of a certain age, really. She's standing here, she's finished a picnic. I wanted most things in this painting to be symbolic. Rarely do I use symbolism in my paintings, but in this one I felt that it was necessary. So we have the bottle of red wine that is no longer got any wine in it. It's the sustain remaining on the white tablecloth. The autumn leaves are blowing from beyond the canvas toward the sunset. The earlier stages of womanhood are gradually making their way up the hill toward the solitary figure here. There's the baby, the toddler, the adolescent.